Hi, this is Angelique Clemens. I am the host of the podcast, Can I Borrow Your Skin? So, I am going to be downtown tomorrow for the Duel in the D. And for those of you who don't know why this is so epic, University of Michigan, #1 in the country, Michigan State University, #2 in the country. So it is a 1 versus a 2, #1. And #2, in-state rivals. Michigan State have been in-state rivals since the beginning of time and in every single sport. And, Michigan has the better record in every sport except for like 2. And so a lot of people have taken to calling Michigan State the little brother. I don't do that. Like, I am a fan of my team, and otherwise, I honestly don't give a shit about any other team. So, unless they're playing my team, I'm honestly really not up on it. Like, go blue. I think I've made that very clear on my podcast so far. And like I said, previously, and will continue to say, feel free to come in my comments, talk shit. I'm here for it, but I'm always gonna be go blue. So what I want to do and why I'm doing this and putting this up on a Saturday, I think I've published this week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all different content. But I did an episode where I talked about pretty much football for non-football watchers. So I wanted to do something for hockey for non-hockey watchers. And before I get into some of the things on hockey, I wanted to bring up something very, very important to me and near and dear to my heart. Being someone who grew up watching hockey, my maternal grandfather used to watch Hockey Night in Canada, and we watched it with him. My mom watched it with him. Like, we were a hockey family. I have first cousins who play hockey, and we used to ice skate or play hockey, the family. And then, some of those cousins, their kids are playing hockey right now in the league. And so when you are from a family that plays hockey, knows hockey, it's important to, start getting out there. For a lot of you who don't know, hockey was actually invented by a bunch of black dudes. And since the invention of hockey, it's become less and less and less and less something that black people tend to play, know about, do, etc. And, there is an initiative here in the city of Detroit to diversify hockey again, to make it something that is for everyone. And a friend of mine was part of that initiative, and I am also passionate about that. And so I wanted to first talk about the fact that the University of Michigan hockey team is one of the most diverse hockey programs in D1 hockey in the NCAA. And to me, that was impressive because 5 years ago, there were only 13 minorities in D1 and D3 hockey. 13. And this was in 2021. We have an HBCU that is in Division I hockey now. That's Tennessee State University, which is awesome. This year alone, U of M has 4 minority hockey players in D1. So that is almost a third of what it was for the entire league just a few years ago. So I want to implore people to watch more hockey. And so what I want to do is tell you guys a little bit about hockey so that when you're downtown watching hockey tonight, watching it on TV because it's #1 versus #2. No matter how you get into hockey, whether you miss this and you miss Duel in the D, but you happen to pick it up and you want to watch some Red Wings who are doing very well right now, it's great. Let's learn some hockey. So it's on a rink. It is on an ice skating rink, and that ice skating rink is 200 feet long and it's 85 feet wide. It is oblong. So that means it has curves to it. And that curve, the radius of that curve is 28 degrees. There's a lot of people who watch hockey and maybe people who play hockey that don't know that. And so if you draw a tangent, sorry, I'm bringing up words from like 10th grade geometry for some people. Trigger alert. If you draw a tangent, so you draw a line. So you have, if you take the line that's going along the 200 feet and you kept that going straight, the angle of that line. So you keep that line going straight. So you have that line and then you have it to start to curve. The degrees of that curve is 28 degrees. So that's what I mean by the radius. Okay. So there is a net on either end of the hockey rink. That's where your goalies are going to go. The space behind that net is 11 feet. Okay. So now we got the dimensions. Let's talk about the players. There are 6 players on the ice for each team at a time unless there's a penalty or you're in like overtime or something like that. Now, one of them is a goalie. The goalie's job is to keep things out of the goal. He stays in the net most of the time, moving back and forth, doing all these gymnastics, dropping into splits, popping his hands up in the air, throwing his body at stuff. Sometimes he'll skate out to knock a puck around when there's a defensive player breaking off and he doesn't want him to get to the puck. But 90% of the time, he's in the net. Actually, probably more than that, but he's in the net. So if we're starting with the goalie and the goalies are point, the 2 people directly to the sides of the goalie, those are going to be your defensemen. You have a right defenseman and you have a left defenseman. If you move up a little bit further, you will have 2 more players. That's going to be your right wing and your left wing. And then you have a little dude in the middle. Now that dude could be between your wings, between your defensemen, kind of hanging out in the middle of them, looking like the number 5 on a dice. Or he could be at the very, very top, what we'll call top of the key if you know basketball. That's your center. So those are your players. Now, your wings are usually going to be your best puck handlers. They are going to be the people who try to take the shots, very far shots off into the opposing people's goal. They are going to be the ones that get down the ice the quickest once the other team gets the puck, them in the center. So they're going to be your best puck handlers. They're the ones that can use their stick to kind of pop out the puck. Those guys can handle the stick. Now we're going to talk about the ice itself and the different lines. There are 3 lines and 5 circles. 5 circles on the ice. Now you have 2 blue lines, which denote the zones. So each team has an offensive zone or defensive zone. So if it's where their goalie is, that's their defensive zone. If it's where the other team's goalie is, that's their offensive zone. But it's that blue line that dictates entering that zone. And then you have a red line, and that red line bisects the rink into 2 halves. Now you have four circles inside the zones and then 1 at the very center. The 4 circles inside the zone and the 1 at the center are where your face-offs are going to be. A face-off is where you have 2 players from each team standing, facing each other. The official drops the puck down in between them, and they chop at the puck to try to get the puck to their teammates. So it literally was like a bunch of people slapping around, pop, 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 until the puck bounces out of the center to one of their players. And those are face-offs. You have a face-off at the beginning of each period. There's 3 periods in hockey. And you get it after the puck is held. So the goalies can hold the puck, or it can go up into the netting because they have nets there because the puck is flying around at several miles per hour. So they have a net behind the goalie, and it extends out a little bit so that when they're shooting and the puck bounces off someone's stick or skate or whatever, when it goes flying up into the stands, it will hit the netting. So people aren't dodging for their life all day long. So let's talk about scoring and the puck itself. So the puck is a circle. It's 3 inches in diameter and it's 1 inch thick. It's rubber. So like all rubber in the cold, it gets really, really hard. And so that's why it's really important in some of the outdoor games, the temperature, because it messes with the ice, number one, and two, it makes the puck hard like a biscuit, a bad biscuit. Let's see. The net itself, so what the goalie is defending, it is going to be 6 feet wide and 4 feet tall. And that's important because your goalie has to defend that all night long. And so sometimes people like shooting over the sides of the goalie. They like trying to put it, so the sides, they try to put it over his shoulders. Sometimes they try to shoot it between his legs. There's so many different ways the puck can go into the net. If your goalie goes down, you will see people trying to chop at the puck to push it in underneath the goalie. That's normally when your defenseman will start like pushing people down and pushing people away, because all the players defend the goalie at all costs. And so when you see people in their zone, their defensive zone, you will see the defensemen are, trying to make sure people don't get close to the goalie. And so you'll see, and the center at that point, he'll be standing down right in front of the goalie, trying to block his field of vision, so that they don't see when people shoot the puck at him. He doesn't see it enough time to react, and so the puck can go into the net. Well, while the center is down there, the center from your team is trying to push him out the way, knock him out the way to give your goalie a good shot at seeing the puck, and two, making sure that center doesn't actually knock into your goalie. If he does knock into your goalie, that should be called as goalie interference, but it's not always called. And so your center is trying to knock the other team's center away from your goalie. All right. Now, there's a couple ways that people actually play hockey. They press, they do what's called dump and cover, or it's like a center and a bounce. So with press, you will see your wings follow the other team's wings down the ice. And so that they have to, it's like the full court press in basketball. They want them to work very hard to get down into their offensive zone on the other side of the blue line. And so it's like playing man to man. You're trying to make sure that person works very hard to try to get a shot off to the goalie. And so you are, bumping into them, not bumping into him, but you're kind of, checking him hard up on him. Your stick is trying to poke at his stick. You both are going after the puck. Dump and cover is more antiquated unless you're on a line change. The line are the 5 people out on the ice. And so you want to try to match personnel. If you got a really fast guy on one team, they want to put their fastest guy out there on the other team. And so what they'll do is they'll dump the puck really deep behind the goalie, and then the players will jump in and off the ice. And they do that over a rail. So it's really funny because you're watching these huge hunky guys who are very, very athletic, jumping over rails and doing the splits. Like the goalie is probably one of the most flexible people out, like in any sport. Like the dude can pop into a split and bounce back up and stretch. I am impressed by a goalie. Like their flexibility and their athleticism can rival some gymnasts, like watching them do the things that they do. But that's what, so when people dump the puck, then you have your offensive player try to get the puck once it's been dumped. There's some people actually just play that as their normal game, not just on a change. And because people, not just your wings, skate really fast and really well now and can handle the puck, like handle their stick with the puck really well, it's becoming played less and less and less. And then you have center and cover. So I call it that. I don't know if that's its official name. Don't care. Actually, I don't think any, except for dumping it in. I don't think that's the official name for any of it. And again, I don't care. But that's when they set up in like the number 5 dice look, and you have the center is playing pretty much in the center. Like you have the goalie's right here, and your center is sitting right here, and your wings are trying to pass the puck around. You try to get it to your center because the idea is you get it to your center and your center just has to turn and hit the puck. And one, it's a really fast connection. It's like a tic tac. It's really fast, and if your center does it right, they play it as the puck is coming to them in a fluid motion, and it one makes it very hard for the goalie to react to, and two, um, it is such a fast pass, and it's so quick that he pretty much has option of any area he wants to go to. If this is your first time watching hockey and you see people set up in what looks like a five dive, one of the quickest things you can yell is center it. So you want so people will think you know hockey because you're calling for them to like flick it to the center real quick so the center can get off a nice pass. So let's did I talk about face-offs? I did. Sorry, you guys. One thing that I do want to talk about is boarding and the boards, not boarding. We'll talk about penalties in a minute, is the boards. So there is like plastic, or is it vinyl? I guess vinyl is a plastic. It might be wood. I think it used to be wood. Anyway, I digress. The boards, the bottom part of the rink, when I want to say it's about 6 inches tall, the puck is designed to bounce off of that. And I do think it used to be wood. I know that it is a plastic now. But the puck is designed to bounce off of that. When you are playing on your home ice, you know how the boards react. And so you know if I hit this board in this space, it's going to bounce and fly off. Or I know that's a dead board, so it's going to hit it, and then it's going to just stay in that area. Or, this is just a regular board. It's going to bounce around like it would off of any board anywhere. The home team kind of has an advantage because they know how their boards are. So they know, oh, this is a fast board, this is a dead board, or this is just a board. And so using the boards to your advantage is part of the home rink advantage in hockey. And like football, let's talk about some of the penalties. The most common penalties are going to be probably the most common is going to be offsides. So like in soccer, you can't enter the blue line. You can't cross the blue line until the puck goes. So if a player, and so people will play the blue line, if half your body's on the other side, but not both your feet, then you haven't crossed the blue line. And so you will see people straddling the blue line, almost going to split so they don't go off sides. But you will see the hand go up and they'll say offside. Icing is fairly common now. They changed the rules a couple years ago. What they use, if the puck goes from one side, one blue line into the other blue line and it touches a board without being touched in the center area, and the center area is the blue line to the blue line where the red line is, that's the center. If your player doesn't touch it in that area, then it is considered icing. They used to make your teammate be the first one to touch the puck. What happened where players were rushing towards the puck, and just like in football with CTE injuries, people were hitting themselves and hitting into the board so hard that they were injuring themselves. And so now, if it looks like it's going to ice, sometimes you'll see the goalie raise his arm with a stick in it, and they'll just automatically call icing. Sometimes you'll see the official do this, and that's because he's waving off icing because he feels like the other team's player would have gotten there in time for it not to be icy. Tripping. So tripping, because they're playing with the stick, if you put the stick in between the legs or the skates of the other team's player when he's trying to rush off to get an advantage or he's too fast, they will call that tripping if he actually trips. I like boarding. This is myself personally. So if you and a player are like along the boards, chipping at a puck, trying to get it, and everyone's like trying to push at each other to get that advantage, and you hard and just push that guy, that's going to be considered boarding because you're pushing them real hard into the boards. Holding is kind of like tripping, but instead of it being at the feet, it's at a different part of the body. And so you're keeping them from making forward progress. And it's normally like a breakaway or someone like a man advantage. So there's two of those players and only one defenseman. So you want to slow down that guy. So you'll hold on to him. Too many men on the ice. Like I said, the guys are hopping back and forth over the rail to get on and off the ice. Every once in a while, if the puck goes over there and you're in the middle of a change and you will have 6 men on the ice versus the other team's 5, that's too many men on the ice. And it's usually only called um, when the puck is over in the area near the benches or during a scoring advantage and the player is still on the ice because they're quick. They be flipping across those rails pretty good. Like I said, those guys are like pretty athletic. High stick. The stick should always be below the waist. Every once in a while, someone stick will come up into the visor face mask of another guy. And one of the things that's important about that is a major or a minor. So if you hit someone in the face and it's not deliberate, it's never deliberate. I've never truly seen where someone's just like whacking at a guy's head with a stick. You get hit in the face with a stick, it hurts. It hurts. Your eyes will water. You will sometimes see players like really squeezing their nose or something, or doing one of these. And that's trying to see if they've drawn blood. Because just getting hit with a stick in the face, it sucks, it hurts, but that's only a 2-minute penalty, a minor. But if you draw blood, that becomes a major, and that's a 5-minute penalty. So, people be trying to get that blood going so they can get a major penalty. Let's see, what else? Talked about that. Slashing and roughing. Again, it's slashing. You hit someone across the leg, usually, or across the body with the stick. That's considered slashing. Roughing is just two people, someone hitting someone real hard, generally not into a board, but you're getting the roughing. And I will tell you, it's less common now, but there is fighting in hockey. And the fighting in hockey does not necessarily mean that there is going to be a penalty. Usually nowadays, the penalties come when you get a real big fight. People are dropping gloves and they're seriously like boxing out there, pulling someone's shirt over their head and like going at them. Usually if you see people pushing each other around and they're kind of like making little punch marks at their head, it's, not a fight. Then they, you can get fights and they won't call a penalty. Me personally, when I see two people start circling up each other and start throwing bows, I'm yelling at the TV, let them hoes fight, because I personally like fighting in hockey. The bruisers on the teams were usually my favorite players. And this is back in the day when you had like the wings of the 80s and 90s, and you literally had one player on the team, one defenseman, whose sole job it was to fight people that mess with your other players. That's what Konstantinov was. Loved him. And like he was one of my favorite Red Wings of all times. And like you hit Yzerman on the next shift, you were getting beat up by Konstantinov. Just know that is going to happen. Like the bruiser's job was to protect their players, period. And don't get into the paint, and that's like the colored circle in front of the goalie. There are some rules about you not being in there before the puck, or they'll wave off a goal, and if you like interfere with the goalie or hit the goalie, fall on the goalie, the entire team is gonna beat the cowboy shit out of you. You do not mess with the goalie. It is what it is. Let's see. If there is a penalty, you lose a player, and so you're going to be skating 5 against 4, and there is no icing because your job as a team on the penalty is to clear the puck out of your zone, so to get it on the other side of the blue line. And so what they'll do is they'll just knock the puck completely down by the other team's goalie. Scoring is 1 goal is 1 point. Most teams have their own, I think it's stadiums, not teams. So each team has a stadium. So they have their own horn sound, and they all sound a little bit different. And it could be cool. Most people know their team's horn. Some schools, especially since it's Duel in the D, there are college teams whose fans say certain chants for certain things. University of Michigan, their fans are called the Children of Yost because we play at Yost Ice Arena, and they have little chants and things that they do. I know when I was in college, they used to have a whole saying to call the other team's goalie a sieve. I don't believe they do that anymore. I know that with penalties, Michigan used to go and see ya as the other team's player was put into the penalty box. Um, just like the Red Wings throw octopi. Other teams do things with a hat trick. Everyone throws a hat onto the ice. I think that is universal. A hat trick is when one player scores 3 goals in one game. It's not very common, so that is a huge, huge, huge accomplishment. I don't know what else I truly want to say about hockey today, but those are some of the basics of hockey. I know that I told you with football, I like to be antagonistic. So, hockey in and of itself is kind of antagonistic sport. Just sitting and watching some of the stuff can help you figure out when and where you can pick on the other team's player. It's not high scoring like football. You're going to see a lot of really cool puck action, seeing people. They're very athletic. The ability to skate as fast as they skate and to float forwards and backwards. It's really, really impressive. I think that with the duel in the D, I don't think it's going to be a clean game. I think there's going to be a lot of penalties because one, it's the in-state rivalry. Two, it's in Detroit. It's in LCA. And so there's all of the buildup for that. Three, it's number 1 versus number 2. Like, this is a big game. For me, it's important and going to be really impressive to me because of the 5 minorities that are going to be playing. Out of the 52 players that can be on the team, we have 10% of the people playing tomorrow are of a racial minority. And that's huge. Hockey is not that diverse of a sport. And I know, like I said, there are initiatives out there to diversify the sport of hockey. And again, as a sport that was actually founded by, Black men, it's interesting to see the lack of diversification now, racial diversification. And with that, that's hockey. Like I said, I will be downtown today. And for the Duel in the D, if you see me out and about, say hi. We can always go live. I'll be doing some live interviews and some live shots later on today. So come find me. I'll be around LCA. Thank you. Like, subscribe, come find me, say hi. We can go live. Bye.